Hello, welcome. This is a book I got for free. So last Wednesday at my shop, my shop man hands me the book I actually was buying out of my pull box, which is this Godzilla book right here. And then he's like, "Hey, I was gonna put this in the dollar bin, but it's pretty good." And I gotta say, like, I mostly agree with his assessment. Like, it was pretty good, but it was also a little bit unsatisfying. So yeah, when you go to a Graham Cracker Comics on Wednesdays, you get 3 books for free out of the dollar. Yeah, the dollar bin. I've almost said the 50-cent bin, but it hasn't been 50 cents for years. The dollar bin. And so this is he's like, this is gonna go in it. It's yours now. And I'm like, cool. And I don't know. The main meat of this book is the first story where there's this lady trying to figure out like school shootings and what's going on. And in the process of her investigation, she sees John Constantine show up at every one of those school shootings. It's actually kind of a fun little like mystery thing, and then John Constantine actually shows up, and it kind of ruins it. This first story is written by Warren Ellis, if I remember right. Yeah, there we go. In fact, here's the whole list, and it's very much it's very Warren Ellis. There's no other way to put it. It was real interesting, and I thought it was going to go on longer than it did. And then it just kind of came to this really unsatisfying conclusion of the kids are killing themselves or killing each other because life sucks. Thanks, John Constantine. Thanks. Thank you for. Yeah, it's like super edgy. It's like this is like the edge lord story. In fact, this whole book is kind of full of that. The story right after this is about. It's kind of written in the style of fiction from like the 1920s, where some British guy is going on an expedition to Tibet or something, and like strange fiction, like a Lovecraft story. Except we don't actually get to any of the adventure. It's just all about one guy getting tortured in the marketplace. Like what? Why? Story after that is about how cattle mutilations are actually the way people communicate to aliens. That's weird. It's got some neat art. I don't even know what this story was about, and I think I don't care. Like, I've already forgotten it. I read it, and I forgot it, and it does not matter one little bit. In fact, that's kind of how I feel about a lot of this stuff in this book is I read it, and I don't even remember it now like 5 minutes later after I've read it. Maybe 10 minutes later. This story was interesting because it's about this dude who becomes like a doctor. So he was like a playboy in high school, uh, very familiar with boobies, right? And so he became a doctor that does that kind of stuff. I don't remember what they said it was called. And now everybody he dates, he just sees like where he's going to cut tattoos out, or not tattoos, tumors, tumors out of them. It's kind of weird. And ultimately, there's no payoff. That's kind of how all these stories feel. Is like this is a setup, and then there's just no payoff at the end. Anthology books have a lot of that going on. I didn't really get what this story was about at all. Like her boyfriend leaves her, he's a jerk, and yada yada, and then he burns photos of boyfriends after talking to her girlfriends or something. Like I don't know. I really like the that right here, monster for all occasions. Like if I was going to run a costume store, I would steal that name, and it's fun. It's actually kind of just like a fun story. Some interesting stuff happens, but again, where was the payoff? I don't know. Then we got this story where this dude is seducing this woman and zombies, right? This one actually had a nice payoff at the end. And when I got to the end of that story, I was kind of like, yeah, this is all right. But out of all the short stories in this book, and we probably skipped some, I don't know. We were kind of flipping through real quick as I'm trying to touch on everything. But, that one had a little bit of a payoff. None of the other ones really felt like when I got to the end of them, I was like, yeah, that was a good story. The one about John Constantine totally kind of ruined itself because Warren Ellis is being Warren Ellis. Like, I feel like that story shouldn't have been spec to whatever number of pages it was. It should have been a longer story with a lot more investigation and less John Constantine showing up, and it would have been more interesting. But they're also using him to sell the book. So what do you expect? He's got to be in the book, right? $8 back in 2010, I probably would have been unhappy with this. But for the price of free in 2024, I'm okay with this. I liked it more than I did not like it. Let's put it that way. Anyway, we're starting to lose our sunlight. You all take care of yourselves. You have a great day, great night, great whatever you got going on. Hope to see you again next time. Until then, bye bye.